All right.
This is Stacey McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast, where CEOs, senior leaders, and C-suite executives share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
So my name is Nitin Kumar. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of a young startup called Appnomic. I'm a high-tech sector executive, been a 20-year tech veteran. And we do use artificial intelligence to solve performance problems for companies. We can detect, predict, and autonomously fix performance problems.
Well, then this is perfect, right? And having the conversation about leadership and communication with teams, the guy that does this and from an automated perspective for a living. Love that. Question number 2, what's the best thing about leading people from your perspective?
I think leading people comes in a variety of different dimensions. And when I was much younger, somebody who I value a lot had told me this: a leader needs 2 characteristics, a compass in your head and a magnet in your heart, right? Find your direction and attract people. I think fundamentally, those are the 2 characteristics. What I enjoy doing is taking large, complex problems of business, competition, customers, and kind of breaking that down, enabling people to sort of run with that. For that, you need to have a vision and you need to connect people with that vision. After that, it's all about enabling execution and being that coach to help people achieve smaller goals that they see success in, and then keep raising the bar so that they can challenge themselves to attain those goals. And in the process, attain the organization and shareholders' goals.
I love it. I mean, again, at the core of what you said was the heart space, right? I mean, that's where the attraction comes. And I think that's where the purpose comes for the individuals on why they're doing what they're doing, right? Where the attraction begins. I love that. Question 3, which is interesting. I'll be curious your answer on this one. I often hear from other business leaders that business would be great if it weren't for that pesky people part. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that?
Look, in today's world, what creates value is really technology and people. You need to think about people as human assets with attributes. Those different attributes are used in different places, right? You can have all the musical instruments in your company, but the orchestra doesn't sing at most parts, for the most part, okay?
Love
So
that.
your job is to actually make sure the orchestra has the right instruments, they have the right tuning, which is the skills, okay? And then it's really your CEO's or a business leader's job to make that orchestra sing. You need to think about yourself as a bandmaster, when to replace what instrument, what to come in, which one does the bass, who's fit for what perspective. So you cannot think of people as a single thing. It's a portfolio of opportunities, it's a portfolio of assets, it's a portfolio of skills, right? It's really starting to have a problem in the business when you start managing moods and personalities and things like that. You manage the process or you manage the music, hold everybody accountable to the process, and we all have mutual respect and we run the machine together, right? Problems start when you really have a person and a complaint attached to it. You have to separate what the problem is and what the personality is and solve both of them differently, right? So yes, those problems are real. It really depends on how your outlook is and how you intend to solve the problem and how you think about yourself solving the problem.
I love that. Again, it's, at its core, you're talking about the fundamental of, separating the person from the behavior and working them independently, right? And even with the bandmaster example where you're talking about seeing and thinking of those things on a larger scale so that you know how to harmonize those things, not necessarily always balance. Balance.
The pesky people problems comes when you give the drum guy the guitar and the guitar guy the drums. Who plays what well?
Interesting. Oh, no. Are you saying we're the problem here? The leaders? Okay.
It is.
I know.
Sometimes it is, and it's a style, right?
That's right. That's great. All right. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation. So what other successful business leaders like yourself should be on the podcast? Who else? What other voices out there have strong ideas like yours that we should be listening to?
I would highly recommend a couple of people. One of them is a gentleman called Martin Ectors. He's the Chief Innovation Officer of Legal & General out of the United Kingdom. I would also encourage you to speak to Mike Mullica. who's the executive chairman of LF Edge, a very exciting edge computing company. And the guy has a wealth of experience that he can bring to the table in very many different leadership circumstances.
Thank you. We'll definitely go check them out and look them up. What piece of advice about communication would you give to other leaders?
Yeah, again, as I think about this, right, communication is a style, and you have to adapt your style from situation to situation, right? Number one thing, you have an end goal and a vision, and you need to be very clear about that. And structure your thinking on how to connect to each individual at an individual level, and then figure out what does it take to connect them to the organization and organization goals, right? Also, as a leader, you need to adapt your style constantly because you are talking to executives, you're talking to shareholders, you're talking to partners, you're talking to customers, you're talking to employees, you're talking to investors all the time, right? There is a certain messaging and tone, longevity and brevity that resonate there. There are people who process data, people who process visuals, right? If you do your homework up front and have a conversation with them for 5 minutes, or even you can find a lot of information on the internet, you can actually figure out who resonates with what better. Obviously, there's a tone, but depending on who you're addressing. It's really the art and science of converting those nuggets and the ability to process that into a meaningful connection. And communication is all about making that connection and thereby translating it into impact.
So again, you're back to, you have to really understand your audience and who it is you're interacting with in order to really modify yourself to be in their style, right? So that would impact, create that impact and that connection that you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, magic question number 6 for you. Tell us about your favorite boss or teacher. Who's really influenced you?
So this is a very interesting question because you learn a lot from a variety of different people. Okay, so there's 3 or 4 people who have actually able to touch me in touch my thought process in different parts of my career. Right, one of them was a professor during my days when I was learning the art and science of professional services. His name was David Meister. A gentleman is now retired. He's out of Boston, right? His ability to think about how you take a product business and then come into professional services thinking, the way you articulate the economic logic and the mechanics and the nuts and bolts of that business and how it grows, why contextually certain things are a certain way. And the clarity of thought process and the ability to inspire people actually was very life-changing and game-changing for me. Right. The second person was while I was at Deloitte. I was was a partner called Roy Avon. That again, gentleman may have retired by now. Was an outstanding leader. Told you how to stand up on your 2 feet and sort of make a leader out of you, not necessarily an execution or oriented or an instruction based worker. Right. That was my journey, and it's my first year as a vice president. He gave me complete authority and actually let me make my mistakes. He says, I'm there. I'm backing you. You fall down, make your mistakes. We all make mistakes, and I'll back you. He says, I want you to make your mistakes. I don't want you to go be successful at every single home run is not going to be a home run, right? It was an amazing way of managing people and actually changing the way you think about yourself.
That's amazing. I mean, just to feel about, I think, a lot of what I liked about this question is just the thoughts that you get thinking back of these people that have touched you in these ways. And, how do you pay that forward to other people and share that, these are things I think sometimes we carry with us that we don't necessarily have the conscious awareness of.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And again, this is not to be not thankful to the hundreds of people who we have learned from.
Exactly. Exactly.
There are 1 or 2 or 3 of them who make a very profound impact on who you are.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for being on. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. How can people find you if they wanted to reach out or say hello?
So, Stacy, I'm in a number of different places. I'm visible on LinkedIn. I'm on our website, appnomic.com. I'm on the Forbes Technology Council. And obviously, you can find me in Twitter and many podcasts and many of these events around the media today.
Exactly. You are a hot commodity, I've noticed. Well, that's good. Well, look forward to having you back on sometime soon. And this is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast. For more ideas and insights, please do go check us out at www.concilioteam.com. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.